Then I would also like to ask the president to have his online supporters stop attacking me.
Well, after all, this happened more than 30 years ago. To be honest, in order to find this thesis, I turned my house upside down, even searched the storage room, and it took me quite a while to finally find it.
The presidential office said President Tsai's diploma is at National Chengde University, Ministry of Education, and University of London.
There's really no issue of missing pages. It's always been a complete book, the whole thing. We have explained this, right? As a president, if she feels there are things she needs to clarify, she actually can clarify them. She doesn't need to use a lawsuit to prove anything. These accusations are indeed false, and they've wasted a lot of society's time. Since Professor He-Debin believes that the matter should be clarified through the judiciary, then we'll file a lawsuit and let the courts sort it out. At the same time, we also presented a lot of evidence yesterday. The degree is real. It can't be faked. If you have a degree, there must be a thesis.
In a statement posted to its website on October 8th, the school said it had received many queries about Tsai's academic status. It said the records of the university confirmed that Tsai had been awarded a doctorate in law in 1984.
We searched for TSAI, and this is what it brought up. So there is no result, no match found.
The paper Tsai Ing-wen showed was the one she had put back into the library of the London School of Economics in June 2019 through diplomatic relations.
We were discussing whether to give you 1 doctorate or 2 doctorates. And in the end, they decided to give me 1.5 degrees.
Welcome to LSE's campus. This is our village, set in a few small streets in the heart of London.
The London School of Economics, or LSE, was founded in 1895 and has always been regarded as one of the UK's super elite universities, alongside Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial College London, and University College London. The G5 is an elite and prestigious university, world-renowned in the fields of politics, business, and law. It has many well-known alumni around the world, including 20 Nobel Prize winners and 55 heads of government. Every member of the British cabinet has also studied at the London School of Economics, making it a true source of pride for the UK. It is widely recognized as a world-class institution for higher education and scientific research. However, when the pursuit of political power and the pursuit of academic truth cross the line between them, academic controversies inevitably follow. In 2011, LSE was rocked by the Saif Gaddafi scandal. Saif Gaddafi, the son of Libyan strawman Gaddafi, donated £1.5 million to establish the North Africa Research Center at the London School of Economics, and also signed a £2.2 million contract with the school to train Libyan officials. Dissatisfied with the school's large financial dealings with a dictatorship, people within LSE began to question whether Saif Gaddafi's 2008 doctoral thesis was ghostwritten, which in turn sparked large-scale campus protests. In the end, the school's president, Sir Howard Davies, resigned on March 3, 2011, citing errors of judgment as the reason. The controversy over Saif Gaddafi's doctorate was investigated by Lord Wolfe. After reviewing the reports from the 2 oral examiners, it was determined that there was no issue with Saif Gaddafi's doctoral qualification, but that there were flaws in LSE's governance structure and management model. In 2013, LSE was once again involved in a degree scandal, this time concerning the son of Sri Lanka's former Prime Minister, Premadasa. At that time, on October 3, 2013, the Colombo Telegraph in Sri Lanka published an exclusive report stating that Premadasa had not obtained degrees in economics, international relations, or political science from LSE. LSE, however, responded to the Colombo Telegraph immediately. Our records all show that Premadasa graduated from LSE in 1989 and obtained a bachelor's degree in international relations. We do not allow students who have not completed their studies to graduate. Therefore, we would appreciate it if you could let us know why you believe Mr. Premadasa did not complete his studies at LSE. But in the end, Premadasa himself admitted to the Colombo Telegraph that year, he was unable to take further exams because he contracted measles and suffered paralysis in his legs. Only then did LSE explain to the Colombo Telegraph that the University of London awarded him what they called an aggregate degree as a consolation prize on August 1st, 1991. It was not a regular formal degree, and they also apologized for previously providing the wrong date and for their delayed response. It seems that LSE has a habit of covering up scandals for political elites in order to build good relationships in global political circles, once again confirming Sir Lord Wolf's conclusion. LSE's governance structure and management model are flawed. In 2019, the London School of Economics was once again embroiled in a new academic scandal. Tsai Ing-wen, the president of the Republic of China, who claims to hold a PhD in international economic law from LSE, faced public skepticism due to the disappearance of her doctoral dissertation for 35 years. After 35 years, Tsai Ing-wen urgently submitted a book she claimed was her dissertation. Subsequently, Lin Huanchang, a Taiwanese-American associate professor at the University of North Carolina, personally conducted an investigation and produced a 52-page independent report. On August 29, 2019, Professor Ho Difun from National Taiwan University held a press conference to formally accuse Tsai Ing-wen of academic fraud regarding her credentials. In response to the accusations, Tsai Ing-wen refused to authorize judicial authorities or investigative groups to conduct an investigation, but instead filed defamation lawsuits against the scholars who questioned her. The London School of Economics and the University of London each issued statements in 2019 and 2022, respectively, confirming Tsai Ing-wen's doctoral degree. However, there were discrepancies between the two statements regarding the date the degree was awarded. The explanations about the whereabouts of the dissertation also contradict each other, causing the controversy to drag on until now. Honesty is the best policy, but the London School of Economics and the University of London have clearly once again fallen into the pitfalls of flawed governance structures and management models, busy covering up academic scandals for political elites. Before the upcoming legal battle in London, it is necessary for us to clarify exactly what controversial actions the London institutions have taken over the past 3 years. Tsai Ing-wen's academic controversy stems from a dissertation titled Unfair Trade Practices and Safeguard Actions, which had not surfaced in the past 35 years. To get to the truth, we first need to understand what actually happened to the dissertation. When Professor Lin Huanqian emailed the LSE Library and the IALS Library to inquire about the whereabouts of the dissertation, the LSE librarian first clearly stated that all PhD theses and law must first be sent to the Senate House Library and then to the IALS Library. However, neither of the two libraries ever received it, never received. The third scholar sued by Tsai Ing-wen, Professor Peng Wenjing, also personally visited both libraries in October 2019 and confirmed that it wasn't a case of being lost, but rather that they had never received it. So, is it possible it was missing or?
Maybe we never received it. I don't know.
If it was missing, if we had received it, it would be in the catalog, but it would say missing.
Oh.
But if it's just not there, that suggests we never received it.
In response to the doubts, Tsai Ing-wen has repeatedly insisted that the thesis, which was supposed to be stored in her alma mater's library, somehow went missing for unknown reasons. Her appointed lawyer, Lin Yuan-long, stated during Prosecutor Huang Wei's investigation, "We only found out in 2015 that the plaintiff's thesis was missing, but there is a record of this thesis in the British Library. Therefore, that year we requested the University of London to reissue the doctoral degree certificate." There is a contradiction between the two sides regarding whether the thesis was lost or never received in the first place. On June 14, 2019, Mr. Daniel O'Connor, the Director of Media Relations at the London School of Economics, took the initiative to offer an explanation. He said that the Senhouse Library and the IARS Library had clearly received the thesis at some point, otherwise it wouldn't have been processed and appeared in the British Library's catalogue. However, this claim was immediately refuted by Professor Lin Huanqiang's investigative report, which stated that the British Library's catalogue was just an empty shell with no actual content. Professor Lin Huanqiang visited the record supervisor at the British Library and discovered that the new record was only added in June 2015, in response to public questioning, not as described by the Director of Media Relations at the London School of Economics. At that time, all PhD theses in law were required to be submitted to the library and the IALS library, so there was clearly a significant discrepancy in the timeline. On June 19, 2019, the University of London's Data Protection and Information Manager, Keep Good, also commented on the thesis. He said that the University of London does not hold copies of the thesis at either the IALS or the Senate House Library, but records show that a copy was once sent from the Senate House Library to the IALS, yet it cannot be found now. Both the London School of Economics and the University of London have made efforts to explain the thesis as lost, rather than saying never received. On October 8, 2019, the London School of Economics issued a so-called statement, the LSE Statement on PhD. This statement once again mentioned that all doctoral theses are first sent to the library, and records from the Senate House Library confirm that a thesis was indeed received and forwarded. Using the same tactic, the London School of Economics statement deliberately obscured the timeline, pretending that this was a record from 1984. In reality, Professor Lin Huanqiang was the first to respond when the London School of Economics issued its statement. He went to the two libraries to inquire and obtained a so-called record of the thesis being submitted to the library, which actually happened in 2011, not in 1984. In fact, that was the year Tsai Ing-wen led a delegation to visit the London School of Economics, and only then did the London School of Economics and the University of London begin their internal investigation into the thesis incident. Obviously, as early as 2015, Tsai Ing-wen already knew that her so-called thesis was not stored in the university library. Amid a series of FOIA appeals, on June 11, 2020, the University of London once again presented new findings regarding the missing thesis. In item 35 of the arbitration report, the University of London informed the committee that they possessed Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination, as well as the thesis copyright submission review report and records, which show the list of those who passed as announced by the university at the time. Tsai Ing-wen's original thesis, between the 1980s and 2010, was misplaced or lost at some point due to renovations in the library. The University of London further emphasized that the thesis does in fact exist, and suggested that its possible loss was due to reasons such as library renovations, misplacement, or being lost. However, this explanation is still being questioned, because according to the investigations by Professor Lin Huanqiang and Professor Peng Wencheng, the library has no record of the thesis ever being entered into its collection. Even if it was lost due to renovations, there still should have been a record of it being entered into the library. On December 18, 2021, there was another FOIA controversy. Tribunal Judge Hazel Oliver, after reviewing the video evidence provided by Professor Peng-Wen Cheng, ruled that the University of London's claim that the thesis was lost between 1980 and 2010 was incorrect. On February 2, 2022, the University of London once again issued a statement regarding the thesis controversy. The University of London statement on the missing thesis said that after 2 oral examiners submitted and reviewed her dissertation, Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen was awarded her doctorate in February 1984, although it is still unclear whether the thesis was ever stored in the university library. But this has nothing to do with Dr. Tsai's degree. The degree was properly awarded. This statement's view on the thesis is clearly quite different from the LSE's statement in 2019. The thesis went from being recorded as sent to the Sandy House Library in IARS, to now not even being sure if it was ever stored in the library. The University of London no longer insists that it was lost. Now, all that remains is the vague answer that it is still unclear. But the strangest thing is that the doctoral dissertation Tsai Ing-wen claims as hers was published in 1983, which is actually before the degree was awarded in 1984. Is that even possible?
Right now, there are already scholars questioning whether this really looks like a dissertation. When do you ever release the entire thing for everyone to see? We're currently, because the National Library has already agreed to help us, make it public, so we're in the process of preparing it now. Once we're ready, we'll release it. There's no issue of releasing it page by page. It'll be the whole thing, the entire dissertation.
When you look up the official library catalog, it's marked as 1983, but the notice of thesis approval that the presidential office provided yesterday is from 1984. There's a 1-year discrepancy.
All these details were already explained yesterday. I received my PhD at the beginning of 1984, and I passed my oral defense in October 1983. That's it. Thank you.
They've all admitted this. Next, for the one from 1980, we originally let everyone ask about it, but we've already explained all of this.
The statements from the University of London and the London School of Economics about the thesis have been inconsistent and have failed to convince the skeptical groups. Just like with other academic disputes, the investigative groups have started to shift their focus to looking into information about the PhD oral defense. The examination committee serves as the gatekeeper for awarding degrees and is an essential part of ensuring the integrity of the degree. Since the University of London and the London School of Economics were unable to confirm the existence of the thesis in their statements, but both affirmed that the degree was properly awarded. Then, as long as the records of the Oral Examination Committee mentioned in the 2011 Wolf investigation report are provided, it should be enough to convince the questioning parties and put an end to this academic controversy. However, the attitude of the University of London and the London School of Economics has been strange. They are resistant to providing records related to the Oral Examination Committee. Michael Richardson, an independent journalist from the U.S., was the first to investigate Tsai Ing-wen's Oral Examination Committee. On October 31, 2019, Michael Richardson used the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, to request that the London School of Economics provide the list of Tsai Ing-wen's Oral Examination Committee members and the date of her oral exam. Rake Dermaguia, the Information and Records Manager at the London School of Economics, replied to Michael Richardson, saying that the information about Tsai Ing-wen's Oral Examination Committee should be kept at the University of London, and that her oral exam date was October 16, 1983. Michael Richardson then forwarded Rachel Maguia's reply and, again based on the FOIA, redirected his request to the University of London for an answer. On January 26, 2020, the University of London's Data Protection and Information Manager, Kit Good, stated that this involved the personal data of the individual concerned, refused the FOIA request, and asked Michael Richardson to refer to the London School of Economics 2019 statement, which was full of inaccuracies. Such a response clearly only deepened public doubts, so Michael Richardson had no choice but to escalate his complaint to the ICO. After an investigation, the UK Information Commissioner's Office released its arbitration report on June 11, 2020. The ICO, citing the protection of third-party interests, agreed that the University of London did not need to disclose the list of oral examiners for reasons of personal data protection, and also considered the list of examiners to be part of Tsai Ing-wen's personal data protection. In this report, by point 37, the University of London further suggested that when responding to individual FOIA requests, they should explain that, because they possess the oral examination records and the list of those who passed, they can prove that Tsai Ing-wen's degree was awarded based on the above information. The University of London not only holds records related to the oral examiners, they even have records of the physical submission of the dissertation. This is the official response from the University of London and the London School of Economics in 2019 regarding information about Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination committee. LSE only has records of the oral examination date, while the University of London not only holds the examiner's review reports, but also records of the dissertation's publication. Not satisfied with the answer he received, Michael Richardson submitted a second FOIA request to LSE. The London School of Economics responded on May 4, 2021, and again on May 26, 2021. LSE's board secretary, Louise Nadeau, stated that the London School of Economics does not possess the relevant information because in 1984, degrees were awarded by the University of London. Based on this internal review, the UK's Information Commissioner's Office, ICO, also issued an arbitration report on November 26, 2021, confirming that the London School of Economics does not possess records related to Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination committee and logically inferred that such records would be held by the University of London. After 2 years, the London School of Economics changed its previous 2019 statement that it held the date of the oral examination, and now claims it does not have any related records at all. The second official reply was that the London School of Economics did not hold any records of the oral examinations and that all records were logically held by the University of London. On December 1, 2021, a user immediately raised a question to the University of London on whatdotheyknow.com. So, did Rachel Maguire from the London School of Economics obtain Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination date from the University of London? Susie Mayweather, the newly appointed Data Protection and Information Manager at the University of London, publicly responded, "Sorry, the University of London does not hold any information about Tsai Ing-wen that is held by the London School of Economics. The main doctoral degree records are held by the member institutions, not by the University of London." Susie Mayweather's statement once again contradicted the claims made by the London School of Economics, the University of London, and even the ICO. First, the London School of Economics should have information regarding Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination committee members, but the LSE's board of directors confirmed twice, on May 4 and May 26, 2021, that they do not have any records of Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination committee. Second, the University of London's claim to the ICO in 2020 that it held the review report of Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination committee was incorrect. Such records should be held by the member institution. Third, the ICO's inference that the University of London holds Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination records is also incorrect. This is already the third time the official explanation has changed. In the academic controversy surrounding Tsai Ing-wen, the University of London and the London School of Economics have been passing the buck, with statements filled with all kinds of lies. On June 21, 2022, a tribunal court ruling was issued. Judge Alison McKenna reviewed a key piece of evidence from Taiwan. This was a legal case triggered by the academic controversy surrounding Tsai Ing-wen. One piece of evidence was an email dated December 16, 2020, from the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office to the London School of Economics. In it, LSE's legal manager Kevin Hand stated that the names of Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination committee members were recorded in her 278-page student file. Pages 74 to 75 of that file list the names of the oral examination committee members, Michael Elliott and Leonard Lee. Judge Alison McKenna immediately ruled that the London School of Economics possesses information related to Tsai Ing-wen's oral examination, and that the school must respond again within 2 weeks in accordance with the FOIA, or provide reasons for exemption. Before this case, the University of London and the London School of Economics may have only used selective information to mislead the public and pass the buck to each other, refusing to take responsibility for Tsai Ing-wen's final doctoral oral examination in order to delay and cover up her academic scandal. However, this time Kevin Hand's actions went far beyond the legal red line by providing a false list of oral examiners to assist in prosecuting those who questioned Tsai Ing-wen's academic scandal. Because Michael Elliott and Leonard Lee, one of them was Tsai Ing-wen's advisor, so it's impossible for him to be her doctoral oral examiner, and the other was a criminal law professor at LSE. What's more, this list is missing the crucial external examiner. In Judge Alison McKenna's ruling, the London School of Economics also admitted that this was inaccurate information and the result of a hasty mistake. They refused to endorse the list provided by Kevin Hand. On September 1, 2022, the LSE Board Secretary, Luis Nato, and Rachel Maguire once again contradicted the claim that they did not have Tsai Ing-wen's oral examiners, stating that making the examiners' names public would subject them to tremendous pressure, and used personal data protection as the reason for exempting the disclosure. Over the past 3 years, the University of London and the London School of Economics have repeatedly changed their statements, making their various declarations hard to believe. In order to cover up for political elites, they even went so far as to provide a false list of oral examiners as fake evidence. After being exposed, they used emails as fabricated proof in an attempt to alter the facts, only to suddenly change their story when faced with legal pressure, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. After all their tactics failed, the university simply avoided debating the substance of the issue and instead used data protection laws to continue dragging out this international scandal. But the question is, do the names of the oral examiners and the date of the oral exam really fall under the category of personal data protection? On September 13, 2021, regarding Michael Richardson's FOIA case against the University of London, the ICO insisted that the identities of the oral examiners fall within the scope of personal privacy. The court's reasoning was based on 4 points. First, whether the individual to whom the requested information pertains is still alive. Does the information relate to an identified or identifiable living individual? Second, is the data controller or a third party pursuing a legitimate interest? Is the data controller or a third party pursuing a legitimate interest or interests? Third, is there a necessity for the purpose of disclosure? Is the processing involved necessary for the purpose of those interests? Fourth, do the above interests override the fundamental rights or the interests of the data subjects? Are the above interests overridden by the interests or fundamental rights and freedoms of the data subjects? In the end, the tribunal's first instance judgment did take into account that the list of oral examiners is one of the subjects protected by personal data laws. Considering the interests of third parties, the University of London was not required to disclose Tsai Ing-wen's oral examiners to Michael Richardson. Michael Richardson appealed again, and the case has now moved to the upper tribunal, where it is currently under review. But what's strange is that in a similar situation, on March 21, 2022, Professor Lin Huanxiang submitted a FOIA request to Birkbeck College, University of London, regarding the list of oral examiners and the date for Shi Weiquan, founder of Lin Media. The head of information governance at Birkbeck College specifically responded to this inquiry in accordance with the UK FOIA 2000 regulations and disclosed that Professor Xia Zhuzhou from National Taiwan University was the external oral examiner for Shi Weichuan's PhD in law at Birkbeck College, University of London, and that the oral examination took place on June 14, 2018. From Birkbeck College's response, it's clear that the college does comply with personal data protection, but personal data protection does not cover the names of oral examiners or the dates of oral examinations. Is there a double standard in the application of the law? Or did the University of London and the London School of Economics cover up for Tsai Ing-wen? The answer is self-evident. Finally, since Michael Richardson has a conflict of interest as a third party, Professor Peng Wenjing, who is a defendant in Tsai Ing-wen's case and is already wanted, naturally has even more legitimate legal rights than Michael Richardson. Professor Peng Wenjing has decided to personally sue Kevin Hands and the London School of Economics, seeking as much as £480,000 in civil damages. This is just the first step. Everyone in London who is involved in this academic scandal will become one of the defendants in our legal action. Let's keep watching to see what happens next.